Oh, okay, so what do you do? What's my solution? To uh-huh. Okay, so what would I have to do? Put glass doors on the inside and seal them up that way? So, okay, all right. So then that would be too expensive to change them out. Okay, got it. Right, I don't understand. Okay, how about the actual metal thing over the top of them? Is that in good shape? Okay, all right. I didn't. I did not. Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, that's okay. There was no hurry, so it's just, I had notes and I just, yeah. Yep, that's done now, so now we're just trying to start putting things back together, so. Okay, well, I gotta go, but thanks for the update, Chris. I appreciate it. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Mr. President, I have 7 o'clock whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, we're done. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we're good. Okay, good evening. The time is now 7:02. I'd like to call this meeting of the Beloit City Council to order. Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
There are 6 councilors present and 1 present virtually.
Thank you. Item 2 is Pledge of Allegiance. May we all stand at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under special orders of the day and announcements, item 3A is a proclamation remembering September 11th, 2001.
We have Councilor Blakely reading the proclamations, and I believe we have representatives from the Police and Fire Department here tonight to accept the proclamation.
Did you want me to go to the podium?
Yes, you can.
Being here.
Oh, thank you.
Take over the microphone
Sure.
for just a minute to read the proclamations. City of Beloit, Wisconsin official proclamation. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, in an unprovoked and senseless act of terrorism, 4 civilian aircraft were hijacked and crashed in New York City, Pennsylvania, and the Pentagon. And whereas innocent U.S. civilians of all heritages, as well as visiting civilians of foreign nations, were killed and injured as a result of these horrific acts. And whereas on that day and the days that followed, Americans were united in prayer and resolved to help the families of victims and first responders who were never given the opportunity to live out their full lives. And whereas the threat of terrorism, destruction, and senseless violence must be banished for any free society to exist. And whereas we come together in solidarity as a nation to remember the first responders and civilians whose lives were cut short by these acts of terror. And whereas the city of Beloit salutes the heroism of public safety and rescue workers, volunteers, local officials, military personnel, and those who respond to tragic events with courage, selfless compassion, determination, and skill. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the City Council of the City of Beloit that we dedicate September 11th, 2021 as a day to reflect and rededicate ourselves to ending terrorism in commemoration of the 20th anniversary of the terrorist attacks. That we encourage all our residents to affirm their commitment to sustain patriotism through volunteerism, community involvement, and service. We encourage residents to lift one another up and foster a new level of understanding and awareness. And be it further proclaimed that we honor the memory of all those who died by building the stronger, more perfect union our founding fathers called for, and rededicate ourselves to ending terrorism and senseless violence in all forms, standing united with understanding, love, and respect for one another. Presented this 7th day of September 2021, signed by Beloit City Council President Clinton Anderson. And I'll just mention the gentlemen who are accepting the award, of which I have one copy. Okay. A representative from the Police Department, Officer Joshua Broker, and Deputy Chief John Murray from the Fire Department. Thank you for your service, and please, do you have a few words to say?
Good evening. I just want to thank you for this proclamation in remembrance of the attacks on 9/11. I think we are remiss if we don't remember not just the 2,977 lives lost on that day, but also the efforts of the firefighters, the police officers, and civilians that helped remove tens of thousands of people from the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and also helped in other recovery efforts after the attacks and the collapse of the buildings. So I just want to thank you for that, and just hope that we as Americans and citizens of this country, this great country of ours, remember what happened and never forget the sacrifices that so many made. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Officer Broker.
Thank you. I couldn't have said it any better. But on behalf of veterans here in Beloit and the Beloit Police Department, we sincerely appreciate the recognition. Thank you.
Here's a copy of the resolution.
Item 3B is a proclamation recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month.
And Cecilia Ramirez, I don't think she's.
Oh, great.
Cecilia Ramirez from Latino Services Providers is here. Didn't see you over there. Sorry
Thanks
about that.
for being here. I'll read the proclamation first. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month is an opportunity to recognize the histories, cultures, and contributions of our residents whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas the observation began in 1968, the observance began in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Lyndon B. Johnson, but was expanded by President Ronald Reagan to cover a 30-day period and enacted into federal law on August 17, 1988, calling upon public officials, educators, librarians, and all the people of the United States to observe this time with ceremonies, activities, and programs. And whereas the 2020 U.S. Census estimates that slightly over 21% of Beloit's population are Hispanic or Latinx residents, and whereas these Hispanic and Latinx residents play a unique and vital role in our economy and workforce, as well as our education and faith communities. Now, therefore, the President of the Beloit City Council proclaims September 15th, 2021 through October 15th, 2021 as Hispanic Heritage Month in the city of Beloit and encourages residents to observe this month with the theme, Hispanics, be proud of your past, embrace the future, and celebrate the achievements and contributions of Hispanic Americans. Presented this 7th day of September 2021. And we have a representative from the community, Cecilia Ramirez, who's here to accept the proclamation. Did you want to say a couple words? You don't have to.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you in the name of the community, and I'm here representing Latino Services, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
We move into public hearings. 4A is consideration of ordinance number 3722, amending the future land use map of the City of Beloit Comprehensive Plan for the property located at 1112 Garfield Avenue. This is first reading.
Community Development Director Julie Christensen.
Angus Young Associates, or Angus Young Architects, on behalf of Samara Investments, Inc., has submitted the application to amend the future land use map. This request is related to the proposed redevelopment of the applicant's adjacent mobile convenience store located at 1407 Liberty Avenue. The project involves the replacement of the existing store with a larger 3,650 square foot convenience store with an improved parking layout as shown on the proposed site plan, which is included in your packet. There's also an existing site plan which shows where the existing site, how the existing site is laid out. The gas pumps and canopy will not be altered. If approved, they would then apply for rezoning to commercial, and because the gas station use is not allowed in the R1B single-family residential district. A portion of the proposed store and the required 30-foot setback with landscape buffer are on the subject property. This request is for 1112 Garfield Avenue from single-family residential urban to neighborhood commercial. Plan Commission reviewed this item on August 4th and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the comprehensive plan amendment. This is on your agenda for first reading tonight.
Thank you. At this time, the public hearing is now open. Would anyone wishing to speak in favor or oppose this, please come forward at this time. Second call. Third call. At this time, the public hearing is now closed. Can I get a motion to lay this item over?
I so move.
Motion by Blakely. There's a second by Duncan. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4B is consideration of ordinance number 3719 to create, amend, and repeal various sections of Chapter 19 of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit pertaining to zoning of medical facility uses. This is first reading.
And before you start, Julie, I believe Councilor Duncan had her hand raised.
I had my hand raised. Thank you, President Duncan. President Anderson, duh. Got to get used to this different role. I've had a chance to reflect on this matter, and I feel that my participation would create the appearance of impropriety. So at this time, I'm choosing to recuse myself. And if the clerk could note that, I will leave the room at this time.
Okay.
And President Anderson,
Yes, Vice President Keys?
I also want to speak as I too continue to stand by what I said previously, that I have no legal conflict of interest in this upcoming matter of business. However, it is my responsibility to recuse myself if there's either a legal or perceived conflict. And at this point, members of the community have made it clear that there is a perceived conflict. In order to be responsive and to avoid any perceived conflict of interest, I too will be recusing myself for this item.
Okay, Vice President Keys, I will put you on mute, and we will get a hold of you when the item is over.
Thank you.
Okay, Community Development Director Julie Christensen.
In 2020, Planning and Building Services received a request to develop an ambulatory surgery center in the city of Beloit. The existing zoning ordinance does not explicitly address ambulatory surgery centers, which caused a great deal of confusion and litigation. The city has an obligation to provide for such a use within the city, and the governing body must decide in which zoning districts such uses should be allowed. As we started reviewing this matter, we found that in addition to the lack of definition for an ambulatory surgery center, the ordinance also did not adequately address other medical facility uses, such as hospice centers and hospice facilities and skilled nursing facilities. So we are proposing a comprehensive update that better addresses all medical facility uses in the city. Section 1 simply adds a hyphen to the term quasi-public. Section 2 removes the words sanitariums and nursing homes from the list of permitted uses in PLI. Section 3 updates the use table by renaming the current hospital classification as medical facility. The term medical facility is defined to encompass all medical facility uses, and then the table indicates whether the use is permitted with a P, conditional with a C, or prohibited with a dash. We use the hospital category as kind of a jumping off point when deciding where to allow medical facilities. Sections 4 through 8 make changes that are needed to move all medical facilities into one section. 9 through 13 define ambulatory surgery centers, hospice facilities, hospitals and nursing homes, and it updates the community living arrangement to include RCACs, which are residential care apartment complexes. Those definitions aren't currently in the zoning ordinance. Section 14 then repeals the original definition of rest home or nursing home, which was outdated. All required public notices were posted and distributed. We also emailed the notice and ordinance to Tim McKevitt and Duffy Dillon on July 15th, who represent the Beloit Health System in Ortho, Illinois. Public comments received are attached to the staff report, and a handout that was provided by Tim Feely, the attorney for Beloit Health System, that was handed out at Plan Commission, was also attached. And then we've also sent you the comments that we've received since that Plan Commission hearing. Plan Commission held their hearing on August 18th and recommended approval of the ordinance subject to an amendment to allow medical facilities as a permitted use in C1 office and CBD Central Business District Core by a vote of 4-3. Attached in your packet is a report to City Council form, which outlines that change. They essentially recommend changing in Section 3, changing the designation for medical facilities for C1 from conditional to permitted, and to amend the designation in the use table for medical facilities for CBD1 from conditional to permitted. This is on your agenda for first reading tonight.
Thank you. And before I open up the public hearing, when you do approach the podium to speak, please provide your name and home address. Each individual will be provided 5 minutes to speak on this topic. And please try to keep your comments brief and do not repeat points already raised or presented in written comment. Abusive or inappropriate language or personal attacks will not be tolerated. We will maintain social distancing and occupancy limits in the forum and in the adjacent conference room where public hearing can also be viewed and heard. This time, the public hearing is now open, and I believe, Madam Clerk, we had some people fill out some speaker forms tonight.
Yes, Mr. President, I have 20 people signed up currently to speak. I'll call the first speaker is Tim Feely, and the Finance Director is passing down a handout that was attached to his sign-up.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Tim Feely. I represent Beloit Health System. I can give you my home address. I actually live in Waukesha County. I assume that you're looking for addresses to make sure that they're residents of the city of Beloit that are speaking. But do you want my address for the record, or?
Sure.
Sure. It's 1237 River Park Circle East, Mukwonago, Wisconsin. Thank you. One of the documents I presented tonight, Ms. Christensen did mention that there was a packet that I handed out to the Plan Commission. Mr. McKevitt is going to speak a little bit about this document, but I provided it with my sign-in sheet. I provided enough copies for everybody. One of the questions that came up at the Plan Commission, there was some interest in terms of what the payer mix was for Ortho, Illinois, and why that was important, and whether or not they provided charity care to the communities that they served. And this is a document that was actually filed by them with the Illinois Department of Public Health, which speaks to the exact percentages in terms of charity care in their payer mix, Medicare and Medicaid. And so Mr. McKevitt will refer to that, but this contradicts some of the statements I think were said to the Plan Commission when we had the Plan Commission meeting a couple weeks. First point I want to add on behalf of my client is that if the City Council is going to entertain and pass the ordinance amendment, we would urge the council to follow the recommendations of the Plan Commission. And with respect to that, the Plan Commission did amend or voted to amend the ordinance to continue medical clinics, medical offices as permitted uses in the C1 commercial district. On behalf of Beloit Health System, the ordinance as originally proposed would have rendered at least 4 clinics owned by Beloit Health System that are currently permitted uses, would have rendered them conditional uses by right, or conditional uses. Currently, they're permitted uses by right. In effect, it would render them non-conforming under the ordinance. We don't think that makes any sense in terms of the city's vision and plan and obligation to care for the public health and or further the public health and safety of the community. And so we believe that the original ordinance as drafted was incorrect and that this council, at a minimum, should certainly continue those permitted uses under this current version of the ordinance. The only other point I would make about that is it's not just Beloit Health System. The original ordinance that was proposed for amendments would have affected every dental clinic in the C1 district, any other medical clinic in the C1 district, any blood banks, any laboratories, some of whom folks are not even here to speak about that, but that would have impacted their uses as well. So we urge you to make that change. Please continue our permitted uses by right. And no disrespect, but don't hamstring the system in terms of its ability to continue to respond to the needs of the community and expand as needed without having to go through inappropriate steps. Second point I want to make is that Beloit Health System is not against competition. That is not the reason why we have presented so many times before the Plan Commission, been involved in the proceeding before the Board of Appeals, are coming before the City Council now. We are not asking the City of Beloit to choose sides. We're not asking you to be put in that position. What we are asking you to do, however, is to ensure this particular developer, like any other developer that you would expect to come before you, would follow the ordinances as written instead of trying to fit that proverbial square peg into the round hole. What do I mean by that? Originally, when Ortho, Illinois came to the city, it wanted to build in the M2 zoning district in the Gateway Business Park. You're more familiar with I am in terms of the types of development in that business park and what it was designed to do when it was developed as a tax and trust. And it mentions at the bottom of this Planning Commission report to the council, there's a check mark here, and it says this meets the goal of creating and sustaining economic and residential growth. What I wanted to impress upon you is that if you look at your actual ordinances and you look at the state statute, that is not a standard to amend a zoning ordinance. The standards to amend the zoning ordinance are in 1.6 of your ordinances, your city zoning code, and they're also found same thing in the state statutes. And what you're supposed to consider is whether or not amending the ordinance, exercising the zoning function, will promote the public health, safety, morals, comfort, convenience, and welfare of the community by, among other things, Is that my? 5 minutes, sir. Okay, that's 5 minutes. Does that mean I'm done?
If you can wrap up your,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not against competition. We just think the ordinance should not be manipulated to fit the property. Final point I would say, we understand, and I don't think it's any secret, with respect to any of you, that now we're looking at the Old Manor Restaurant property on Freeman Parkway at Fuller Road. You all probably remember maybe 7, 8 years ago when the statutes were revised and you had to develop a comprehensive plan that included a future zoning map. You probably spent thousands of dollars in doing that exercise and having public hearings. The property that Ortho, Illinois is currently looking at is slated on your comprehensive plan and on your future land use map as a residential development. That property is vacant now. Why would you want to go against your comprehensive plan without going through the public hearing process, which would be required by the statute, and take steps now that are directed only just to assist with a development there that's inconsistent with your comprehensive plan? That just doesn't seem to make any sense. You know, when you think about that layout, you got Menards, you got Fuller Road, and then you have townhomes, townhouses, and then single-family residence. That's why you placed on your land use map that that was going to be a residential use. This development that we all seem to be working for, or at least that's the intent, would be inconsistent with that. And I ask you to consider that as well. Thank you.
Our second speaker is Tim McKevitt.
Good evening. Tim McKevitt, 2318 Boulder Lane, Beloit. I have the privilege of being the president and CEO of the Beloit Health System. I've been employed by the system and I've lived in our community for over 35 years. I ask that you do not approve the proposed amendment and revisions to the zoning ordinance. Beloit Health System offers comprehensive services for our community, including core or safety net services like our emergency room, inpatient care, including over 600 COVID inpatients over the last 18 months, 35,000 COVID tests, and close to 30,000 COVID vaccinations for our community. We provide these services regardless of a patient's ability to pay. We oppose the amendment for 3 key reasons. First, the new ordinance would make it easier for for-profit healthcare entities to enter the market without obligation and costs that our hospital incurs to maintain these safety net services. These for-profit entities will focus on higher reimbursement commercial insurance patients and thus have a negative financial impact on the health system and our ability to provide care for the total community. We are a not-for-profit organization. We are challenged by a disproportionate share, 72%, of our patients having lower reimbursement insurance like Medicare, Medicaid, or no insurance, which results in charity care. For almost 75% of our business, we receive reimbursement equal to 65% of our costs and thus provide these services at an operating loss. We aggressively manage our costs and we count on commercial insurance, which provides a greater reimbursement to offset these losses. In 2019, the health system had a shortfall of reimbursement, which resulted in write-offs of $695 million due to this challenging payer mix. As an example of the inequity of reimbursement, a hip replacement surgery may yield a commercial insurance reimbursement of $35,000, where the exact same procedure, Wisconsin Medicaid will pay less than $5,000. If the zoning ordinance makes it easier for for-profit entities to enter the market without the obligations to take care of our residents, regardless of their ability to pay, they will target the more lucrative commercial insurance patients and restrict or limit Medicaid, Medicare patients to their practice. For example, as referenced earlier, the state of Illinois, Illinois Department of Public Health collects data that is required to be submitted for ambulatory surgery centers. In 2019, Ortho, Illinois only saw 11.8% of their patients were Medicare. We had 50% of our patients being Medicare. 0.4% Medicaid, less than 0.5% Medicaid, and we saw 20%, and no charity care. We realized $27 million in charity care. A further shift in the payer mix as a result of these for-profit entities will present a financial strain on the health system and may cause us to have to curtail our core services and reduce staff, which would not be in Beloit's best public health interest. Not only will this have an impact on the health system, but it will also have an impact on other businesses like local construction firms. The second primary reason we oppose the amendment is that the new zoning ordinance does not adhere to uniformity of governance. When we built our cancer center not too long ago on Lee Lane and Beloit, we did not seek nor did we receive special zoning treatment. We adhere to the current zoning requirements, even though a cancer center is not listed as a specific use, including the required public input, planning, and council approvals. The current zoning ordinance works. Changing the zoning ordinance to accommodate specific developers is not equitable and is biased against the health system. Lastly, and in conclusion, although the proposed Planning Commission amendments attempt to address, the new zoning ordinance actually would restrict our ability to expand at several of our pre-existing facilities by changing the approval process to expand or change uses from a right to a conditional use. This would hurt our ability to provide the necessary care for the community and challenge our ability to recruit and retain physicians. We will lose flexibility for our facility uses to provide care like our COVID testing site and vaccination site. The need for such an amendment does demonstrate, however, the lack of engagement in the health system in the process. The proposed zoning changes are contrary to the city's strategic plan to ensure that the community is enhanced communication and engagement in the community. For these reasons, we respectfully ask that you do not approve the new ordinance. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bonnie Wetter.
Good evening. My name is Bonnie Wetter, 12228 South County Road K, Beloit, Wisconsin. I am the chair of the Board of Trustees for the Beloit Health System. I have served on the board since 2004. I live and work and volunteer in Beloit for over 50 years. I'm asking that you oppose the new zoning amendment due to its negative impact on the Beloit Health System and the public health of the community. Over my tenure on the board and living in Beloit, I have witnessed firsthand the incredible care and dedication of the team at the Beloit Health System. The health system's commitment to the community has never been more evident than over the last 18 months during the ongoing COVID crisis. We have been able to attract top talent, provide a high level of care, and maintain financial stability despite seeing a disproportionate level of Medicare, Medicaid, and charity care, which has significantly lowered reimbursement than commercial insurance. We understand and accept this because we take care of the community. This proposed new zoning ordinance makes it easier for for-profit organizations to come into our community who limit or do not see Medicaid and charity care. They will focus on the better reimbursement commercial insurance, which will negatively impact the health system and may hurt its ability to provide core services like 24/7 ER and COVID care for our community. The proposed new ordinance restricts our ability to expand at several of our sites. The board has invested significant dollars in these locations in good faith for the betterment of Beloit. Our investments in our clinics and cancer care are to improve access and expand services. Why would we ask the city to limit our ability to provide these necessary cares to our community? As a board, we understand the importance to take care of our community despite a resident's ability to pay. Please do not hinder our ability to do so in the future. It is not in the city's best public health interest. Please vote no for the proposed amendment. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Jerry Klobuchar.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Klobuchar, and I live at 2373 Lathers Road in Beloit, and I am the president of our family construction company, Klobuchar Construction. I'm asking you to vote no regarding the proposed zoning amendment due to the negative impact on Beloit Health System, our area's largest employer. My mom and dad started Klobuchar Construction in 1966, so a week from tomorrow we'll be celebrating our 55th year in Beloit. I've lived my entire lifetime in Beloit, with the exception of my college years. We have completed numerous projects for Beloit Health System, including emergency room renovations, inpatient cancer care wing at the hospital, the dialysis center, operating room renovations, and the comprehensive cancer care center on Milwaukee Road. We're very proud to be a union contractor. These projects helped employ hundreds of skilled tradesmen and women, and not just for Klobuchar, but also for the subcontractors that routinely work for Beloit Health Systems on their projects. During these projects, working side by side with the health system caregivers, we see firsthand the high-quality, compassionate care that is given to our community regardless of a patient's ability to pay. The current zoning ordinance does work. The health system has worked with current zoning requirements to bring new services to the community, just like the Cancer Care Center on Milwaukee Road in Beloit. Changing the zoning ordinance to make it easier for-profit entities to come to Beloit and focus on a higher reimbursement commercial insurance without having to provide these core services like Beloit Health System does will have a negative impact on the health system and its ability to provide these necessary services for our community. This negative impact will certainly be felt by the community, but also our Beloit-based construction business. So I urge you to vote no for the amendment to the zoning ordinance. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Namu Donald. And it may take just a moment for the people in the overflow room to come down the hallway, so just be patient. Namu Donald.
Good evening, Senate Council. How are you this evening? Thank you all for this opportunity. First, I would like to say greetings. My name is Namu Donald. I joined this community in June as the newly appointed Vice President for the Beloit Healthcare System. I come to you tonight to voice my concern and objection to the zoning amendment proposed by the city staff to create a new category for medical facilities within the city of Beloit. As a former civil service commissioner in my previous home state, I joined this area because it demonstrated a great sense of pride for its community. It indicated a collaborative nature and a sense of honor for family. Since I began, especially after this weekend, I am more proud to say I serve with a dedicated group of healthcare leaders and frontline providers who serve with dedicated passion for the individuals within this very community. They consider it a privilege to care for your health. We all watch them risk their lives each and every day with the constant battle of COVID-19 and beyond. I understand we have been the community's healthcare provider for over the past 70 years. I come to you tonight seeking a better understanding as to why the city would consider a zoning ordinance that will allow Ortho, Illinois, to construct an ambulatory surgery center right here in the city of Beloit. This will place a conditional restriction on Beloit healthcare systems by disabling many of its outpatient facilities, the clinic, our beautiful cancer center, the occupational health facility, our sports medicine, as well as our family medicine clinics, in which a lot of us seek care. These are the facilities with current uses that are permitted by right under this current zoning ordinance. It is my understanding the city is now seeking to restrict Beloit Healthcare System's usage of these properties by rendering them conditional use subject to continued city approval. This means our healthcare system's ability to expand, improve, and update these facilities with additional services in the future will be limited by this decision. My question is, why would we want to hinder our own city healthcare system provider? This will have a negative impact on its ability to continue some of its core necessary work to maintain the safety of this community. Considering some of my reason for choosing Beloit was the ability to expand these services for the betterment of the community, it is my hope that the total impact of this approval is unaware to you. I ask that you all consider denying this proposed amendment. Thank you all for your time.
And before you leave, can you give your home address for the record, please?
Yes, I apologize again. My name is Namo Donald. I live at 430 East Grand Avenue, Beloit, Wisconsin, 53511.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Our next speaker is John Botnos. John Botnos. And following him will be Leo, last name starts with an E, Leo E. So John and then Leo. Oh, that doesn't say that. Bottnos? Thank you.
Thank you, City Council. My name is John Boutros. I reside at 1634 Summerwood Lane, Belvedere, Illinois, 61008. I am an adult reconstructive surgeon affiliated with Ortho, Illinois. My practice at Ortho, Illinois specializes in reconstructive surgery of the knee and hip with a special interest in complex primary and revision total joint replacement, rapid recovery, perioperative pain management after joint replacements. I'm trained in and have performed a significant number of outpatient total joint procedures that have allowed my patients to have a hip or knee replaced and recover from the convenience of their home the same day. I've practiced in the area for the last 9 years, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. So for over 17 years, we have operated an ambulatory surgery center in Rockford. Our Rockford Surgery Center treats nearly 5,000 patients a year and has ultimately reached capacity. We're seeking to build a surgery center in Beloit to accommodate the overflow volume that we cannot schedule at our current Rockford Center. Despite what others have said, the patients we treat from our Beloit Surgery Center will be coming from our Rockford and Elgin markets and will have no impact on the Beloit health system. In fact, over 98% of our patients come from counties within Illinois. Only 1.3% of our patients reside in Rock County. These Illinois patients will be driven by family members or friends who will shop at stores in Beloit, get coffee, fill their cars with gas, visit the restaurants, perhaps enjoy a walk along the river and appreciate the beautiful downtown Beloit has to offer. The Ortho Wisconsin Surgery Center we build in Beloit will have a total joint and spine center of excellence. Specializing the center to joint and spine procedures will not only bring much needed spine care to the Beloit area, but will also provide enhanced quality and patient satisfaction according to outcomes. Literature and our own experience in Rockford have proven that a surgery center that specializes in a single subspecialty produces superior outcomes. In our Rockford Center, we've achieved over greater than 90% patient satisfaction since inception, and we've also demonstrated our exceptional quality. Our complication rate is 0.23% for a total joint surgeon, and as the Director of Value-Based Care for Ortho, Illinois, we understand the efficiency of healthcare dollars, and we understand the quality of care that it takes to deliver it. This is 2 to 3 times better than the competition from hospital complication rates that we see from community-acquired infections and so on and so forth. The amendment, I fully support the proposed zoning amendment you're considering today. It will allow the economic growth for high-quality and low-cost providers such as ourselves to bring our patients to Beloit, and so I urge you to approve the amendment. Thank you for your time.
Is Leo in the hallway? I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last name. You'll do a much better job than I did.
It's only been 27 years, you should know by now. But good evening, everybody. My name is Leo Ebujobi, and I live down the street at 807 Northwest Sherwood Drive in Beloit. Been here for 27 years. And 1994, I was hired by a good old Beloit clinic. I'm on the board, and I'm the head of the cardiology department. And I'm one of the physician leaders. And I feel obligated to come here today. And I move that you reject whatever is being presented to you, that I allow my friends from Northern Illinois to come here. And I'll make it easy for you. Most of you remember what life was in Beloit 2007, 2006. Beloit Cup went down. Black and Decker closed. Freeman Shoes were gone. Beloit Catholic High was gone. What you didn't know, though, is that Beloit Clinic, 75 doctors, was offered a lot of money to join a larger group somewhere out of here and get the hell out of here. That time, I was the president of Beloit Clinic. And Dr. Jones, Dr. Gold, and a few other doctors would get together. And I told my partners, we ain't going nowhere. We're going to stick it out in Beloit. And I used the phrase civic responsibility. So with civic responsibility, physicians give up their money, give up their good earnings and the investment in Beloit Clinic, and sat down with Beloit Hospital. And we joined an entity that stayed here to serve the community. We did. And 5 years later, we committed to expansion of services. We hired more doctors. My department went from 2 to 10. Now we're 11 providers of the heart and vascular system. We got 4 new orthopedic surgeons, the one we want to put their living and their process and their development and their help to this community at risk. And the whole idea is to bring home to you what people used to drive miles to get. It is easy for people our age and generation to think of, hey, okay, I can get it wherever I am. But a 93-year-old woman who lives in the old hospital apartment, who falls at 2 o'clock in the morning, wouldn't see my friends from Ortho, Illinois. She or he, we brought to one of my partners who came here, who left good places and stayed here because of people like us, who gave up our best to stay here to make this place a home. 27 years in Beloit is a home to me. My kids grew up here. They all went to colleges and everything else. So I'm not afraid of competition. One day I was going to work and another clinic opened in front of Beloit Clinic. You know what that is. We didn't care because that was a hospital. They go through the same process we go through. The hospital is subject to scrutiny and laws that we in the clinic did not, and Ortho, Illinois does not. If they want to play as a hospital, we will have no problem. But to have a group of businessmen and women who want to surgically extract the business that makes a difference in the community, and for you to make a change to allow that to happen, does not give me comfort in going back to my doctors tomorrow when they ask me, where is the civic responsibility you sold to us in 2010? So let's be clear. They can camouflage it. They can call it what they have. These are nice, good doctors, and I know them. They're not coming here to help Beloit. If they're overflown, let them go to Roscoe. I'll help them get a land in Roscoe, Rockton. I can do that today. Not in the middle of the city that men and women at Beloit Health System that turned out to be the largest employee when things are rough, and actually be it is good enough for them to come and surgically extract the 25% of patients who can afford to pay. That is true because their history is less than 11% of the patients get no insurance. 75% of our patients don't have anything, and we still care for them. Let me make it easy for you. One of my patients saw me this evening as I was going home, and she and her husband have a small farm, and they make bananas. They bring me bananas, they bring me apple, and they know I love tomatoes. Today they brought bananas. So I was looking at it. What does Ortho, Illinois want to do? Ortho, Illinois wants to take this tree and allow the poor lady to sell these little ones for the same price. How does that work for you? Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Dr. Eric Zandopoulos, and following him will be Scott Ferry, I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Eric Zandopoulos. I live at 704 Park Avenue in Beloit, Wisconsin, 53511. I'm a radiation oncologist. I work at the Beloit Cancer Center. I'm here tonight to speak in opposition to the proposed ordinance that would rezone ancillary medical facilities, including the Cancer Center. I'm opposed to this ordinance for two reasons. Both of those reasons are related to the fact that although this is a well-intentioned ordinance that's clearly geared towards stimulating much-needed economic growth for our community, it may have unintended consequences that would impact the core mission that we do at the hospital of serving all patients in this community, regardless of their ability to pay and the kind of insurance that they have. And again, there's two reasons why I worry about this. First reason, when I came here 3 years ago, I don't have any contacts to this community. I'm a bit of an outsider. But the community welcomed me 3 years ago, and I've been very blessed. I've had a really great experience here. When I came here, the Cancer Center was an at-will service center. And Tim McKevitt, our CEO, explained to me that there was a need. We needed a cancer doctor here. Patients weren't currently getting service here. They didn't have the ability to travel elsewhere. It's my job to go find these patients, and if we needed to grow the community clinic, we could do that if there's a medical need to do that. Proposed ordinance as written without amendment might change that. And I worry that outside providers, specialists that this growing community desperately needs, if they see this extra layer of complexity that we're proposing right now, they may be spooked into coming here. And I worry that people like me, this is the kind of decision I was making 3 years ago when I came here from New York. If they see that, they might go elsewhere. And I think that's not necessarily in the best interests of our community. And I suspect it's not the City Council's intent to potentially make recruiting needed subspecialists harder for our community hospital. The second reason that I worry about this proposed ordinance is that I feel very blessed. This is a true community hospital, and those don't really exist anymore. We actually serve everybody in the community. At the Cancer Center, the hospital never makes me check what kind of insurance patients have when I have to treat them. And that's great because cancer doesn't discriminate between what kind of insurance that you have. Unfortunately, we are not a very rich community, and we have a large number of Medicaid patients. I checked with our financial gurus before I came here tonight, and I think the historical average was something like 12% of the Cancer Center's patients are Medicaid patients. As you're probably really aware, Medicaid patients don't reimburse well. In fact, we often lose money on the Medicaid patients. And the only way to sustainably treat Medicaid patients is to subsidize their care with better paying private commercial insurance patients. It's just a reality of life. The proposed ordinance that we're considering tonight might change the rules of that game. It would make it easier in the name of needed economic growth for private paying systems to come into our community. But those private systems have not been subtle about the fact that they're not interested in treating Medicaid patients. They really just want to treat the private payers because they're higher margin patients. If those private systems poach enough of the private payers from us, it would jeopardize our ability to subsidize the uninsured patients that we're currently treating right now. and it would potentially jeopardize our core mission of treating all members of this community. And again, we're a community hospital. We want to keep our doors open for all members of the community. Now, it's very easy. You're getting a lot of very interested people coming up here and trying to sell you on their viewpoints, and it's easy to look at this talk and say, hey, this is hysterical rhetoric. And, you know, pie in the sky is falling, the world's going to end tomorrow language. But this is actually happening right now. There's a very large medical system just across the border from us that recently decided that it was no longer going to see Medicaid patients. And I've actually personally noticed an uptick in the number of Medicaid patients that I see in my clinic. So it's very possible that the 12% historical average that I quoted earlier is actually something higher. That makes it even more imperative to protect the pipeline or the stable of private payers that we have to continue to subsidize the underserved patients that exist in our community. For these reasons, I respectfully request the City Council carefully weigh the perceived economic benefits that it expects to get from this proposed ordinance against the potential but very real possibility that it would jeopardize the core mission of the hospital to continue to see all patients in this community regardless of their insurance status. I thank you for your time.
Scott Ferry. Following him will be Brian Slindy and then Anthony Braun. Scott, then Brian, then Anthony.
Hi, thank you for hearing us this evening. My name is Scott Ferry. I live at 904 Tuscany Way in Rockford, Illinois. Thank you, City Council. I'm a pediatric orthopedic surgeon affiliated with Ortho, Illinois, and a Rockford native. My practice is provided primarily on specialized care to infants, toddlers, children, and teenagers with orthopedic conditions resulting from traumatic injuries, congenital deformities, and neuromuscular conditions. I've practiced in the Northern Illinois region since finishing my training for the last 12 years and appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I do support the city's zoning amendment to replace the use category of hospital with a broader and more inclusive category of medical facility and urge you to approve it. I would like to take some time to clarify a few points of information that have been circulated by others not familiar with our group. I feel the claims that have been made that Ortho Illinois will simply cherry pick the highest paying patients and not accept any Medicare or Medicaid patients is not true. Based on patient volume, the number of patients in 2020, 40% of our patients in Rockford represented governmental payers, 32% of those being Medicare and 8% Medicaid. Some of the data that's been presented earlier is a representation based on revenue, and as our last speaker noted, the reimbursement for those payers is not as well. But based on a volume of patients, 40% of our patients are from governmental payers. In my personal practice, in the last 12 years, I've averaged between 15 and 21% Medicaid. Those are often Medicaid patients that aren't even in our network that I'm not personally reimbursed for at all. So last year alone, I had approximately 460 Medicaid unique patients that I treated in Rockford. So the notion that we're not able or willing to provide care to those patients is not correct. Since our founding in 1967, we have strived to be the premier provider of bone and joint treatment regardless of insurance status. We will continue to see these patients and to treat these patients in our Beloit Center, if able, as we currently do in our Rockford Center. I do feel these proposed amendments are in line with the city's strategic plan for continued sustained economic growth, and I urge you to approve the amendment. Thank you for your time.
Brian, then Anthony Braun, and then Greg Clater.
Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Brian Slindy. Address is 2308 North Lexington Drive, Janesville, Wisconsin, 53545. My name is Brian Slindy. I'm the Director of Rehab for Ortho, Illinois, and have been for the past 6 years. I grew up in Janesville, attended Parker High School, moved to Illinois to be near my wife's family, and after our 4 children were born, we decided to move back to Janesville to raise our family. Today, my wife serves as a medical assistant in our school, in our kids' school, and the PTA president for the middle school. I love my job because every day I get to work alongside our doctors and ensure the best outcomes for our patients. Our entire organization shares the mission to do what is in the best interest for the patient. Because we share this North Star, everyone wants to be here. Everyone from the doctors, the PTs, to the staff understands and respects that the main focus is on patients. Our focus on the patient is why it's easy to recruit PTs and physicians, but it isn't the only reason. We have a culture which is also focused on education and giving and helping to pave the way for the next generation of doctors and physical therapists. Let me tell you about one of our physical therapy assistants, Kelsey Anderson. Kelsey graduated from Black Hawk Technical College and came to work as a physical therapy assistant for us in 2016, but sadly she passed away on January 1st, 2018. As a tribute to Kelsey and her dedication to patient care, Ortho Illinois contributes $2,000 annually to the Kelsey Anderson Memorial Scholarship at Black Hawk Technical College. The funds are meant to honor Kelsey's memory by benefiting students enrolled in the PT program where she graduated. Kelsey isn't the only Black Hawk graduate Ortho Illinois has hired. We've hired many of its students, and we have been a strong partner to the college and its students over the years. When COVID forced the lockdown, many Black Hawk students were unable to finish their clinical rotations, and because Ortho Illinois stayed open during COVID, we were able to accommodate those students so they could finish up the last couple weeks of their internships so they could graduate on time. Ortho Illinois is the type of employer and community partner that most communities would bend over backwards to accommodate. All Ortho Illinois is asking for in Beloit is to be treated fairly by the city so that we can continue to provide excellent care for the many patients and continue their culture and excellence and dedication to this community. Thank you for your time.
Anthony Brown?
Thank you, City Council. My name is Anthony Brown. I live at 1045 Sugar Maple Drive, Crystal Lake, Illinois. I'm the Business Development Officer for Ortho Illinois, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. As I'm sure many of you are aware, healthcare costs have been an important issue across our nation. In fact, it's almost a topic of every political debate. This is largely due to 2 reasons. One, the amount our nation spends on healthcare, which is roughly 18% of our GDP. And 2, the unfortunate fact that over 1 in 5 households in America are crippled with medical debt. That is more than 2,800 households in Beloit alone. Now, addressing the rising healthcare costs was made a national goal in 2012 when the Institute of Medicine published the Triple Aim, which is a very simple framework to achieve better healthcare for all Americans by doing 3 things: improving the patient experience, incorporating population health, and reducing the per capita cost of healthcare. Moving care to the most appropriate setting, such as an ambulatory surgery center, has proven nationally to achieve the 3 objectives of the Triple Aim. Our surgery center in Rockford, as you've heard, does this. We offer greater than 90% patient satisfaction scores. We have a 0.23 complication rate. And most importantly, our surgery center provides more than 42% in immediate cost savings to patients by having the same procedure done in a surgery center versus a hospital. Now, it's a fact that ASCs have transformed the outpatient surgery experience for America over the last 40 years. This is due to the higher quality and a lower cost. This is why Medicare has increased the number of procedures ASCs are able to perform. Back in the early 80s, it was only 200 procedures, whereas today it's more than 3,600 procedures can be performed in an ASC. It's also the same reason the number of ASCs have grown nationwide. Back again in the early 90s, just 1,000 ASCs, whereas today there are more than 9,000 ambulatory surgery centers across the country. In Wisconsin alone, there are 87 ASCs, according to the Wisconsin Department of Public Health. Now, even Beloit Health System has recognized ASCs as a stellar example of healthcare delivery done right. When Beloit Health System began its efforts in 2014 to open an ASC at its North Point facility in Roscoe, Illinois, several Beloit Health executives and 23 physicians gave written testimony to the state of Illinois explaining how ASCs deliver superior results compared to inpatient hospital care. The Beloit Health Vice President, Jason Dotson, wrote this, quote, "Ambulatory surgery centers provide a rare example of a successful transformation in healthcare delivery system. They allow physicians to schedule procedures more conveniently, mobilize teams of specially trained and highly skilled staff, and are designed, tailored for physicians of specialties and their patients." Close quote. Now, the Beloit Health System CEO, Tim McKevitt, who you heard tonight, he also testified to the Illinois Health Review Board, and he said, quote, "The North Point Surgery Center is in order for the hospital to decompress its own surgical volume and ultimately modernize its own surgical suites." And that, quote, 80% of the projected North Point patients will be from Wisconsin and only 20% from Illinois. So in closing, City Council members, what I would ask of each of you is to consider that although Beloit Health System opposes Ortho Illinois' entry into Beloit, Beloit Health System and Ortho Illinois do agree on some very important things. Ortho Illinois agrees with Beloit Health System that ASCs deliver superior outcomes and cost advantages to patients. It's been proven. Ortho Illinois also agree that nearly all patients from an ASC come from inside the health system who is operating the ASC, not from outside. So we agree ASCs are generally a good thing. The only area where we disagree is that Beloit Health System does not want us to come to Beloit. That's because Beloit Health System thinks our entry will hurt them, and we just don't see it that way. When you consider the economic growth and the tax impact that changing the ordinance would have by facilitating Ortho Illinois' entry to the market, and when you consider it should have no harm to the Beloit Health System, we hope you will agree amending the ordinance is a good idea. Thank you.
Next speaker is Greg Clater. Following Greg will be Don Schreiner, and following Don Schreiner will be Jeff Van Thiel.
Good evening. My name is Greg Cladar. I live at 643 East Franklin Street in Rockton, Illinois. I've been a resident of the State Line community for 35 years now. My first job was here at Frito-Lay in Beloit, and we stayed in the greater State Line area. I have one perspective that I haven't heard anyone bring up yet tonight, that I happen to be a patient of Ortho Illinois, and my daughter's a patient of Ortho Illinois. I can't tell you how positive our experience is going to be, but I want to share with you a little bit about what my daughter went through and the type of care that she got. My daughter was a really good runner, but her sophomore year in high school, she had a serious stress injury in her leg, stress fracture actually, and we went to Ortho Illinois, and it took months, but they gave her tremendous care. And there was a question whether it was going to be permanent, but she'd have trouble walking and other issues. And through their care, not only did she come back, but she ended up walking on at a Big Ten university. She ran at Illinois for 4 years. She earned a scholarship. And to go from the point where we were wondering if she's going to walk normal again because of the injury to competing at that level, we attribute it to the tremendous care she got. That type of care should be made available to every patient because I can't tell you, it changed her life. It changed her life. But I've known the gentleman at Ortho for another reason, because I am vice president of Ringland Johnson Construction, and we've done numerous construction projects. We're a union contractor, just like Clovercar, and we are the construction manager for this project. And I help prepare the budget. The labor impact alone will be between $5 and $6 million in wages to the tradesmen, which we mostly Wisconsin tradesmen, because this is the community. It always seems that the local people have an advantage over people traveling, particularly people traveling from Illinois because of the wage scale and workman's comp. The people in Wisconsin will have a real advantage of getting the contracts for this project. It'll be local labor, and it's a significant impact to have $5 or $6 million in wages to come into the community. So I hope you support this and support the good work that they do at Ortho. Thank you for your time.
Don Schreiner. Following him will be Jeff Van Thiel, and then Duffy Dillon.
Don Schreiner. I live at 2611 Harlem Boulevard.
Rockford, Illinois, 61103. Good evening, and thank you for your chance to speak. My name is Don Schreiner, and I'm the CEO for Ortho, Illinois. Since our founding more than 50 years ago, Ortho, Illinois has steadily grown to become one of the leading bone and joint providers in northern Illinois. Our subspecialized surgery center model is based on a one-stop, multi-specialty philosophy, and our board-certified physicians oversee every aspect of care from diagnosis to rehabilitation therapy. This is not only convenient for our patients, but the cost savings is up to 42% for our customers. Today, we offer this exceptional care and expertise from 5 clinic locations in Illinois, 1 in Elgin, 1 in Algonquin, 1 in McHenry, and 2 in Rockford. Because of our volume of business at our surgery center in Rockford, we're hoping to build an ASC in Beloit, a short half-hour drive from our other locations. Operating as Ortho, Wisconsin, our Beloit clinic would allow us to bring our impeccable care, award-winning specialty surgeons, and cost savings to the community. We have studied the marketplace. We specifically chose Beloit as an ideal place for us because Beloit is closest to our existing operations, and secondly, Beloit has a reputation for being a community that welcomes new economic development of the sort our facility could create. We predict to draw 3,000 patients and their families from northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin to Beloit each year. These people will be visiting Beloit, some for their first time. While they would come for orthopedic services, they would fill their gas tanks at local gas stations, dine at local restaurants, perhaps stay overnight in local hotels, take in a Snappers game, shop in the downtown, etc. They will spend their money here and tell their friends about the beautiful city that is Beloit. Ortho, Wisconsin will bring jobs to the community. We will be hiring 35 to 40 registered nurses, surgical technicians, and assistants, among other roles. Immediately, the project means construction jobs. Local businesses stand to gain work. Among the needed workers are those in construction, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, steam fitters, welders, drywall, metal panels, masonry, fire protection, etc. As a good neighbor, we also will pay our fair share of revenue and real estate taxes too. We are asking for no subsidies for this clinic. We are asking for no handouts, simply to be treated fairly by the city. I have been with the company for over 20 years. In this time, I have worked with our executive team to oversee a slow and measured expansion of our company. We're not building clinics to build clinics. We build clinics to take care of people. And we will take care of the communities we call home through our charitable giving and by serving as a safety net. We expect over 40% of our payer mix to be Medicaid and Medicare, the same as our Illinois payer mix. We have studied the market in Beloit. And Beloit is a good fit, a beautiful community, and we hope to enhance it by becoming your neighbors. Thank you.
Jeff Van Thiel. Following Jeff will be Duffy Dillon and then Chris Johnston.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to talk. 11409 Belvedere, Illinois. First, I wanted to give a little bit of background just on Ortho, Illinois. There's been a lot of information out there, or some misinformation. Just generally speaking, we are over 500 employees, 48 physicians, 170,000 patient visits a year. So we're a big system that has grown since 1967 with 5 or 6 different people. I'm from Green Bay originally. I've been at Ortho, Illinois now for 10 years. I can certainly comment on the quality of physicians and what we see as important in terms of quality. We're all from the best medical schools. We take a lot of pride in how we take care of people. 4 to 5 star reviews are 100% of our organization, and we certainly deal with any quality issues on a case-by-case basis. I think one of the most important things that maybe you haven't heard is our commitment to community. My wife is very involved in community. Over the last 5 years, we've donated over $950,000 to the local community in support of things like Boys and Girls Clubs and food banks. We really see ourselves as ingrained in a community and part of a community. With that being said, we also have very high staff satisfaction, and we take a lot of pride in that. With that staff satisfaction would be another 40 to 50 high-paying jobs in the Beloit region. Like you've heard before, we're bringing our patients, 98% of those patients from Illinois to Wisconsin, to Beloit, which is going to help Beloit. My kids play in Beloit. We come to Beloit. This is a really great place. In fact, we held our entire group retreat at one of the local hotels this past winter. We rented out the entire hotel. We ate in the restaurants, and everybody said this was one of the best places that we've been. We all recognize the vibrance of Beloit. With that being said, I certainly want to put my support behind the amendment changing from a hospital to a medical facility. I do think, like we find ourselves ingrained in Rockford, that once we get ingrained in Beloit, that you're going to see good things happen on a lot of different levels. Thank you.
Duffy Dillon. Following Duffy will be Chris Johnston, and then Aaron Daniels.
We're going to skip Duffy Dillon. He said he wanted to withdraw his comment.
Okay. Chris Johnston. Following Chris is Aaron Daniels. And following Aaron will be, oh boy, is it Carol Friesen?
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Chris Johnston. My address is 950 East Winfield Court, Beloit, Wisconsin. I am an MRI technologist for Ortho, Illinois. I have enjoyed working there for the past 28 years. My job helps to assist the doctors in connecting the dots. By understanding what is going on inside a patient, our doctors can better understand how to treat and help a patient return to their everyday routines. I take pride in my work, my colleagues' work, and in Ortho, Illinois, who is my family away from my family and has been for almost 3 decades. Like every family, we hold certain values and adhere to certain principles. We have a mission statement at Ortho, Illinois, which is simple: partnering with people to promote and restore active lives. That is what we are hoping to do here in Beloit and in Wisconsin. I am especially happy that Ortho, Illinois wants to be in Beloit because Beloit residents are my neighbors. I live here and I have lived here for 28 years. I have worked with the fine team at Ortho, Illinois, and I want to let you know that they are 100% focused on helping people. Our doctors are specialists and are committed to the best practices and patient outcomes. Outside of helping patients, Ortho, Illinois helps the communities in which it has clinics. Tackling the serious issue of hunger, our company has given more than $500,000 to support child nutrition programs in Winnebago, McHenry, and Kane counties. Ortho, Illinois, which will operate in Beloit as Ortho, Wisconsin, will be generous in our community too. These are just some of the reasons why I love my job. Since Ortho, Illinois will be hiring locally, I'm excited to think that some of my friends and neighbors may be joining me as colleagues focused on the same mission, to help people. Thank you.
Aaron Daniels.
Good evening. My address is W1702 State Highway 11 in 81, Judah, Wisconsin. My name is Erin Daniels, and I am the Director of Human Resources for Ortho, Illinois. I'm responsible for hiring at every level at the company. Our jobs pay well, offer good benefits, and because we treat our people well, many of our employees stay for many years. If Ortho, Illinois opens as Ortho, Wisconsin and Beloit, as you've heard today, we'd be hiring local employees to fill roles in patient services, purchasing, scheduling, operations, and the like. Our physicians are fellowship-trained subspecialists from the top programs in the country. including Harvard Medical School, Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, among others. We're very selective as to what providers join the group, and this is how we maintain high-quality outcomes that we have. Our surgical quality outcomes are less than 1% complication rate, as you heard earlier tonight. This is over 100% better than the national average of 2.1%. Our physicians are actively involved in research. They published 11 peer-reviewed papers last year, contributing to new innovation in technology. Many of them are teachers. Last year, we provided instruction for more than 110 students. They come from all over the world, and many of them choose to settle here in the Midwest. My family chose to settle here in the Midwest, Monroe, Wisconsin, to be exact, 14 years ago. My husband and I run and own our own dairy farm, Hickory Hill Dairy in Broadhead, Wisconsin. We care for almost 400 cows. Our milk is locally processed at a cheese factory about 1 mile from our farm, and you can find our cheese in the major grocery stores that you shop at. As much as we produce for the region, I'm a product of the region. I treasure the land, its people, products, and our community. I'm truly excited that Ortho, Illinois recognizes and values our people and all we have to offer. I am grateful that they are interested in bringing their services, our services, here to this community. And I ask that you approve the ordinance in favor. Thank you.
We have 3 speakers registered left here. We've got, is it Carol Friesen? Yes. Okay, Carol Friesen, Stephen Bartlett, and then Carlos Guerrero.
I'm Carol Friesen. My address is 728 Woodridge Lane in Caledonia, Illinois. Thank you, City Council. I'm Carol Friesen. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Northern Region for OSF Healthcare. It's an integrated health system owned and operated by the Sisters of the Third Order of St. Francis, based in Peoria, Illinois. I am also serve as a board on the Board of Managers for the Ortho, Illinois Surgery Center in Rockford. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. For over 17 years, Ortho, Illinois has operated an ambulatory surgery center directly across from OSF St. Anthony's Medical Center. I am able to tell you from firsthand experience the impact that the Rockford Surgery Center has had on our hospital on our hospital operations. As the Northern Region CEO of OSF, I can verify to the City Council that the Rockford Surgery Center has not impacted OSF's ability to provide 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week ER department services, COVID care, or any other necessary core services. On the contrary, Ortho, Illinois has been a longtime partner in the provision of care within our Level 1 Trauma Center, as well as most recently, during the pandemic, a unified response for our community by resuming admitting privileges to support our hospitalist service burdened by the care of acutely ill COVID patients. They were there, one call. The Rockford Surgery Center has consistently demonstrated superior outcomes. It achieves greater than the 90th percentile for patient satisfaction and has a very low complication rate of less than 1%. This is stellar work. This demonstrates Ortho, Illinois' commitment to appropriate patient selection, as well as the talent and experience of the surgery and their staff. I fully support the proposed zoning amendment you are considering today, and it will allow for economic growth and of high-quality subspecialized providers such as Ortho, Illinois, to bring patients to Beloit. I urge you to approve the amendment. Thank you.
Stephen Bartlett.
Members of the City Council, thank you for allowing me to appear tonight. My name is Stephen Bartlett. I'm the Vice President and Chief Medical Officer of OSF Healthcare, St. Anthony Medical Center. I also serve on the Board of Managers of Ortho, Illinois Surgery Center in Rockford. As you're aware, for the past 17 years, Ortho, Illinois has operated a surgery center in Rockford. The center is directly across from the campus of St. Anthony Medical Center. I sit on the Board of Managers of the Rockford Surgery Center, and I can attest to the firsthand superior outcomes the center has demonstrated year after year. At Ortho, Illinois Surgery Center, the patient's quality of care and satisfaction are of the utmost importance. The center has achieved greater than 90% patient satisfaction since its inception. This is due to the skilled staff, efficient processes, and the first patient-first culture the center has developed. The center has also demonstrated exceptional quality. The all-cause, all-procedure complication rate is 0.23%. This is significantly better than the national averages for ambulatory surgery centers. In addition, we enjoy collaborating with the robust physician complement and leadership team at Ortho, Illinois. The practice is reflective of a group that has a subspecialty model of fellowship-trained, board-certified surgeons. The practice and ambulatory surgery center are physician-governed, led, and demonstrated their commitment to the highest standard in quality of care. We fully support the city zoning amendment to replace the use category of hospital with the broader and more inclusive category of medical facility, and I urge you to approve it. Thank you for allowing us to appear tonight.
Oh, yeah. Yes, excuse me. Could you give your home address for the record, please?
Yes, sir. 5321 Maple Leaf Circle, Rockford, Illinois.
Carlos Guerrero.
Hi, good evening. I want to talk a little bit about me. I get sorry about my accent, but I want to talk to what the hospital do for me. I'm a resident of Beloit for 29 years, and my whole family live here. My kids grow born here. My grandkids, my whole family live in Beloit. So I want to tell you something. 3 years ago, I went to Mexico to work, and I got an infection in one of the factories I work. I work for Eastroy, Beloit, and Eastroy, and they sent me to work to Mexico. In Mexico, I got an infection in my chest. I got a MRSA. MRSA, when I got here, I get to the hospital, and I don't even know what I was doing. I don't remember anything when I got there. And they told me if I take one more day, and maybe don't make it. That's 3 years ago. 2 years ago, I went to South Dakota. I was working in a facility for the government, and we built an oven. One of the chains broke. I jumped back, and the piece of metal fell in my leg, and it broke my leg. It broke my ankle in 5 pieces. And South Dakota, they could do nothing because the inflammation on my leg. So they sent me back to Beloit. I got here to Beloit, and I got take care here in Beloit for Dr. Friends. And they told me that was going to be hard for me to walk or come back again to the way I was. And I'm here. I'm walking again. Last year, first and everything, I live in Portland Avenue, 1119, Beloit. And I was admitted in the hospital December 5th, and I left in the hospital for 18 days with COVID. And that was on and off if I was going to make it. Because I had a transplant, the doctors here, they would take care of me. The nurses, they do a great job. The doctors did a great job. The whole staff did a great job to take care of me. So I'm really thanks to the Beloit Hospital for all these years to take care of myself and my family. So I'm asking you to vote no to the proposed zoning change due to the negative impact on the Beloit system. I was diagnosed on December 5th with COVID, and I was in ICU for 18 days. I was in a care for the doctors and nurses. It was great. If I wasn't for them, I'm gonna stay here. I wasn't here because all my problems that I got with my kidney. I thought when I get to the hospital, I said, that's my last day. I'm not gonna come out. But thanks for the doctors and the nurses, I'm here. So I'm a Medicare. My bill in the hospital was $185,913. Medicaid pay $18,808. And the hospital wrote off the balance for $167,000, $105. Not only did the staff save my life, but don't have to worry about the balance because they write them off. Please do not approve the zoning ordinance change the welfare, our community health system, and I need a strong hospital here, Beloit Memorial. Thank you.
That concludes the written speakers I have here, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, anyone who did not fill out a public speaking form or a form right now can come forward at this time. Second call. Third call. Public hearing is now closed. This time, I'd have a motion to lay this item over.
So moved.
Motion by Levy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Preschel. And before I open up to discussion, I'd just like to say a few things. First off, just thank you to everybody who spoke. I know this is a pretty long meeting for us on the City Council, but I appreciate all of you taking the time to share your opinions and your thoughts. I'd just like to have council keep this in mind as we go forward. This isn't about our opinions on any of this, with the two organizations. It is about the zoning ordinance. We got to keep that in mind as we go forward. I'd also like to share that I do agree with the Plan Commission's amendments, and while I do agree with them, they are substantial, so we will have to go through the whole process again with those. So assuming we do adopt this, we will have that process started and we'll amend this with the Plan Commission recommendations. So at this time, I'd like to open up for any discussion. Councilor Preschel.
I would like to follow up. I'd like to follow up on that comment about the amendments from the Plan Commission because I was there. And I don't know if, should we go forward with this particular version and amend it later? Shall we amend it now and go ahead? Or shall we just start the whole process over with a new ordinance that takes into all those other things into consideration, start the process over again? My goal, because I was on the Plan Commission, I was at all the meetings, and my concern initially was that we addressed the problem that came up in November, putting us in a legal bind, that no matter what the outcome of this process, we were going to end up in a legal battle that we didn't ask for, and that we'd have to use our own resources to defend something we didn't ask to be part of. And that, this is partly to answer that problem and that issue. And that was the issue that really concerned me was we don't regulate this stuff. We don't regulate competition between entities. If that were the case, we would have told Quick Trip to take a hike because we already got plenty of local convenience stores in town. So this is the kind of thinking that I don't know. I really want to see us address the legal issues, and if that we have to pass this through the process, then we do. I think the big question is, does it really do that? And right now, I don't know. I don't have an answer yet. So I just want us, when we're done, to have a good solid footing and with good legal language that this doesn't come back again and again and again.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes, Councilor.
If I may, I think we as councilors, especially tonight by this being a first reading, have to be really careful because we have voted to lay it over to our next meeting. So although I think discussion is warranted, I don't want to get too far down that road to where when we come back again, we didn't have a discussion. I think we obtained a lot of information this evening, and I think that if we have additional questions as to Council Preschel's saying the legal ramifications, that'd be a time to reach out to staff between now and the 20th meeting to when we make our final decision, because I look at the first reading as gathering of information from both sides, and I think we've done that, but I want to make sure that we don't get on that slippery slope tonight to where we're having a full blown out discussion to where we're pretty much at the verge of making a decision without letting it go through the process. The process is now that we have voted to lay it over. There was a motion and a second that I think we need to have limited discussion now, lay it over, get additional information from staff if we have questions, and then come back when it's time to vote to have a different, just have additional discussion when it's time for the vote.
No, I think that's what we got to decide. Is it worth laying over, or should we just start over?
I think
You
right
know,
now.
do we lay it over for 2 more weeks?
Well,
And then have a discussion?
well-
And then start over and do the amendments again, or
Well,
is that a fair hearing for the amendments?
Here's my thing, Council President, that there's been a motion and a second to lay it over already. So instead of redoing that right now, the issue is a huge issue right now. We've had 20 people speak this evening. My fear is if we decide that we're going to move forward with this tonight, or even with the amendments or whatever, in my personal opinion, and I can just speak for Kevin, we got a lot of information tonight. We need to be able to digest this information. If we move forward tonight, we're rushing the process and not doing due diligence on our part, which is what we're elected to do.
So we have a motion.
I think there's a motion and a second. I think we owe it to not only the two entities that's here this evening, and not only to ourselves, but the community, to lay this over, to really think about it and discuss it, and not make a rash decision, because all the questions you are bringing up are valid questions, but those are questions we can ask as we lay it over and discuss. Because once you do it tonight, it's over.
We need to make clear that we're laying over the ordinance amendment as written and not as amended by the Plan Commission.
We're laying over the way it's written on the agenda.
And not as amended by the Plan Commission. That's the clarification I want to make.
Counselor Prushel, City Manager Luther could chime in on that.
In regard to the procedural question you're asking, my understanding of the motion is that it is for the ordinance as written. So that is the active motion on the floor. The reason I wanted to speak up is because I believe that there is a misunderstanding, perhaps, in the public that is important to distinguish. It is not legally permissible for the City Council or for staff to prohibit a use from coming to the City of Beloit, period. We are obligated under law to provide appropriate zoning locations for all uses, even uses that we may find disagreeable or we may have a moral apprehension toward. The law is very clear in regard to the obligations of city government in zoning and providing the appropriate locations for all uses, whether those are permitted, conditional, or prohibited in some areas. But they cannot be prohibited in all areas. So staff's position is not to support or to harm. Staff's position has been to bring forward, in the best way we can, a recommendation that provides the appropriate location for similar uses. There's been great debate and conversation this evening from two particular providers. Staff is not in any way trying to impact the local health system that we are a strong partner with, nor are we trying to advocate for Ortho, Illinois. The zoning ordinance before you is designed to address the murky and unclear position that the zoning ordinance currently presents itself in. So I just wanted to be sure that the public was clear that an option to prevent any particular provider from coming to the City of Beloit is not an option on the table. And I think that has not been clear, and I think based on some of the information brought forward, it could be perceived that the question this evening is whether or not to allow one particular company to come to the City of Beloit, and that is not the issue at hand. That said, the process this evening is to lay over the provided ordinance, which is the active motion, at which point it would be brought back before you on the 20th for formal action to approve or to deny. So I just wanted to try and provide some clarity to the public who's watching and to those who took the time to be present this evening. Thank you.
Counselor Forback.
Yes, I have a question about the changes that the Plan Commission made. If this is brought to our attention on the 20th, which sounds like the procedure that we would be most real. At that time, is there a motion by somebody to then say, we will pass it with or without the changes made by the Plan Commission?
Yeah, that's my question, yeah.
What I heard from the council president, if I may, was his particular support for those amendments. What I believe he said was that those were significant changes, and while he agrees with them, he believes that there should be an appropriate public hearing specifically on those amendments alone. So my understanding of the action currently before you would be first to lay over the ordinance as written, to vote up or down on the 20th on that ordinance, and then to pursue amendments with the opportunity for appropriate public feedback and input on those changes. That, I believe, is what the council president was suggesting.
So, just a point of clarification, I guess what I'm understanding, and I'm looking to the experts, that because the original ordinance has been vetted through the process already, that's kind of what we're looking at, because it's been vetted through the process. The Planning Commission, what have you. The proposed amendments have not really been vetted through the process as the original ordinance has been. So from this standpoint, we have to make sure, one thing that I always say when I'm here, we have to be consistent. So if the original ordinance has been vetted through the process and gone through what we expected to go through, then me, again, personally speaking, I would expect for the amendments to do the exact same thing. Go through the process.
Yes, City Manager.
If I may, and I'll defer to the city attorney if needed here, but my understanding is that the changes made at the Plan Commission are significant, and that it would be appropriate to have those changes published, noticed, have a public hearing on those. And this is all assuming that the ordinance on its face were to pass in 2 weeks, which is not a certainty. But I think staff's position or my understanding of that question is that it would be appropriate to have a separate public notice and separate vote specifically in a public hearing on those issues in the amendment made by Plan Commission. Not to disagree with the merits or to suggest that staff sees any problem with those, but as we have seen throughout this process, it's important that we make sure that everything significant is properly posted and vetted, and there's an opportunity for the public to provide their input.
So with that, is there any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Can we get Councilor Duncan, and I'll get Vice President Keys back on the line. Vice President Keys?
Hello, this is Vice President Keys. Yes.
Okay, yes, we are moving on to the next item. We're just waiting on Councilor Duncan at this time.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, I had you on mute as well. So.
No, that's okay. Look at Kevin, you want to go on about here?
Item 5 is public comment.
We've reached a point of the agenda where members of the public can speak on matters in front of the council. We will not act on those specific requests, but we will direct staff if need be. We ask that you refrain from any personal attacks and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Madam Clerk, do we receive any written comment?
We did not.
Would any member of the public wish to speak tonight? Second call? Third call? Public comment is now closed.
Item 6 is the consent agenda, and all items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a counselor so requests, in which the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Would any council member like any item removed from the consent agenda? Yes, Councilor Forbeck.
Yes, I'd like to remove, please, 6E and 6J.
Okay, 6E and 6J. 6E and 6J have been removed from the consent agenda. Would any other council member like anything else removed from the consent agenda?
No.
If not, the consent agenda consists of items 6A through 6D, 6F through 6I, and 6K and L. Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Levy, second by Duncan. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6E is consideration of Resolution 2021-123, authorizing the city manager to file applications for financial assistance from the State of Wisconsin Environmental Improvement Fund.
Bill Frisbee.
Good evening. Tonight, you have a resolution in front of you authorizing the city manager to file applications for financial assistance from the State of Wisconsin Environmental Improvement Fund. And this application is for a Clean Water Fund loan for our upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant. The deadline for submittal of the application is September 30th, and this authorization is a formality of the, or this authorization is a formality of the application. The Clean Water Fund Loan Program comes with a 25% principal forgiveness up to a maximum of $750,000. It also offers low-cost interest rates that are very competitive with revenue bonds. Our plant project is estimated to have a construction cost of $37.5 million, and that is the amount that we are going to ask for in our application. The city is not obligated to draw on the loan after submittal. It'll go through a process as we move through. We will bid the project, find out the actual construction cost, and then look at other financing methods and determine what the most appropriate method for financing is. So submitting this application for $37.5 million will not obligate us to borrow those funds. And so this authorization will give the city manager the authorization to sign this and then all other documents related to the application and closing. So, any questions?
Can I get a motion to approve?
I so move.
Second.
Moved by Forbeck, second by Preschel. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank
Any
you.
opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6J is consideration of Resolution 2021-122, approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Beloit, Wisconsin and the City of South Beloit, Illinois to share pavement striping cost along Park Avenue.
Public Works Director Laura Williamson.
Good evening. You have before you a resolution that's an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Beloit and the City of South Beloit, and it would be to provide for striping on Park Avenue to share in the cost of putting in that much-awaited interconnection with our bike path process. So with that, this would be allowing us to work intergovernmentally with the City of South Beloit. We have a great relationship with them to have this work finished.
Just wanted to emphasize it, that's why I wanted it pulled, so we could talk about this.
We finally are going to bridge the bicycle gap between Beloit and South Beloit.
Yep.
Yes, we are.
And I am reminded again of a disused bridge in that area that's still waiting to be reused, but this will at least get us across one bridge.
Yes, it will.
Thank you, Laura.
Can I have a motion to approve?
I
So
so
moved.
move.
Moved by Preschel, second by Forbeck. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
I do not have any items under licenses this evening, so item 8 is ordinances. 8A is consideration of ordinance number 3710 to amend 18.02 sub 15 sub K of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit, authorizing outdoor vending for an event sponsored by Yellow Brick Road Organization, Inc. in Riverside Park. This is first reading.
I have Public Works Director Laura Williamson again.
Thank you. We've received a request to have this be moved from Telfer Park to Riverside Park. They're scaling back this event, and so this ordinance would allow, or excuse me, this would allow the organization at their request to move it to Riverside Park.
Okay.
Yes, Councilor Preschel.
I wanted to, this is on October 10th, according to the packet, if I read that right. And do they need us to make this, to expedite this so that they can start promoting the event? Otherwise, waiting till the 20th, would slow things down for them, maybe, I don't know. I just wanted to,
Are we in general discussion on this point right now?
no, I just wanted to make sure that that they didn't request us to expedite this.
This had not been made a request of staff, but that's certainly within the purview of the council to determine what they'd like to do.
Okay.
Would you like to make the motion?
I will
Council?
make a motion that we suspend the rules and do a second reading so that we can get this passed for,
I'll second that, Mark.
thank you.
Been a motion to suspend the rules by Councilor Preschel, second by Councilor Duncan. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now to the merits. Do we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Second that?
Motion by Forbeck, second by Levy. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
There are no appointments, and I will not skip item 10, councilor activities and upcoming events.
I'll start with Councilor Levy tonight.
He's starting with me because I told him I had comments tonight, so. My first comments falls under a person who will probably yell at me when the meeting is over, but I want to thank Lori Stotler for her years of service to the city. This is her last council meeting. I just want to thank her for what she's done while she was here. Wish her well in her new surroundings or endeavors. And you will be missed. I'll have to learn how to manage the things like I used to before when sitting next to you. So good luck. Always remember us here in Beloit. I'm sure we'll be seeing you bounce around somewhere and following you on Facebook. So good luck in your new endeavors. And we got people coming on to kind of take your place. And we look forward to that as well. So good luck. The second thing that I want to discuss is, first of all, I want to thank the Beloit Police Department for all the work that they've been doing over the last few months. It seems as though with a lot of the shootings that's going on in the city, I do see a lot of times on social media where comments are made that Beloit needs to do better, the city needs to do better, and I thought about it for a while, and I wanted to address it here versus on social media, and say to the citizens of Beloit, surrounding community, it's not the city. We have a great city here. We have a lot of good things going on in the city. It's individuals within the city, and sometimes individuals that don't live in the city that's doing a lot of this. So as people say the city needs to do better, I challenge you to go around and see everything that the city has done and focus on that. Any city you go to, there's going to be problems, but we can't blame the city. We have to blame the individuals. That being said, we also hear the police aren't doing enough. What are the police doing? The police can only do so much with the information that they have. If people aren't coming forward and speaking up, the police can't do anything. The last couple shootings that we've had, individuals have stepped up. and individuals have been arrested. So the system works. So instead of blaming the police department and blaming the city, Beloit is where we all live, and it takes a community effort to make this city a great city and better than where we are now. So I challenge the individuals who may be tired of the crimes and tired of the shooting. Instead of sitting back, if you know something, you have to say something, because the police cannot solve crimes if they don't have the information. And I just reiterate again, over the last few weeks, we see where individuals have been arrested. And I'm not speaking confidential stuff here. It's been on Facebook because people spoke up is how those individuals were apprehended. So we need the community to come together, and it's great to hold the rallies, it's great to hold the walks, but unless we put action behind that, what's the purpose? And I'm not criticizing those, but I'm just saying it takes the city, all the citizens here to work together. So hats off to the chief and his staff, and I want you to pass that on to everyone that's involved, to let them know that we do appreciate it. But I do encourage the citizens to get involved and help us help you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Blakely?
How do I follow all that profundity? Thank you so much, Councilor Levy. I just wanted to say that Lori will be truly missed. And sitting alongside her this evening is Omar, who is the recently appointed deputy city clerk. So we welcome you. Thank you. And then on the lighter side of things, Beloit Heritage Days takes place this coming weekend, Friday, September 10th to Sunday, September 12th. Just look online under Beloit Heritage Days, and you'll find a range of activities available, entertainments. It'll be a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Duncan?
Okay. Thank you. First, I just want to mention that I attended the town hall meeting hosted by Alexia Payton and Sherry Pounds, and also the Brown Community Liaisons, along with President Anderson, Councilor Forbeck. Chief Sales, you did a great job sharing how the Beloit Police Department wants to work with residents to end the violence in our neighborhoods. So thank you to everyone involved in putting that on, and also Chief Sales for being there. I encourage everyone who's watching tonight to please help us stop these senseless acts of violence in our city. If you see something, please say something. Next, I want to say and reiterate to our Clerk Treasurer Stotler that we wish her all the best and in her new endeavors. And I can't see you, Clerk Stotler, but I just want you to know you've done an extraordinary job and just so irreplaceable. You will truly, truly be missed. Also, I want to give congratulations to Kim Schultz on her 30 years of service with the city of Beloit. She was the records clerk with the Beloit Police Department and moved on to work in the treasurer's office. So Kim, you will also be missed. And in closing, I just want to say, please drive safely and carefully through our construction zones that are going on throughout the city. This ends my report for this evening.
Thank you. Councilor Preschel?
Thank you. Lori Stotler, Chief City Clerk, Treasurer, I'm really going to miss you. You've done a lot for me, and you've been just the best kind of person to work for down here at City Hall. And what you went through last year, part of this year, and everything in the demands of the job and the demands of the election processes are just amazing. But I know you're going somewhere you love, so that's good. And I will see you up there because it's an interesting place. And I don't blame you, and I will miss you. And I sure hope you've got everything battened down the hatches here so we're ready to move on. You got her. The eyes, yeah. Yeah, you're left and righty there, yeah, okay. So I just want to bring up that this is the last homestand this week for the Beloit Snappers over there at the new stadium. And tonight's a game, so I rode my bike. It's to save a parking spot for somebody. I'd also like to, I did attend the Henry Avenue Park, Henry Avenue resurfacing public information meeting at Springbrook. And there was some good information that's now available on the City Hall's website. And I'm also looking forward to the last month here, well, month and a half of farmers markets. So that's still going on. And I do appreciate what I've seen from Andre Sales and the chief sales and the officers. You're getting the information levels up out there, and that's good, because the more engagement you make, the more engagement you'll get back in return. And we'll put some of the misinformation to rest. There's plenty of it already. We don't need to encourage more. So I thank you and appreciate those efforts. See it all the time. So thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Forbeck?
Yes, I just have three things to talk about a little bit. First of all, I want to also talk about the farmers market. I was so happy. Last Saturday, I'm telling you, our farmers market is back. I mean, there were thousands of people there. It was wonderful. And you know, when entities have to stop for a while, which is what had to happen with our COVID, not every program and, facility, et cetera, can come back from that. And it's a really thanks, I think, to the quality of our farmers market that we've got all these people back again. So I'm very proud of that. Proud of our downtown association for regrouping and getting that going. Another thing, I also want to thank Chief Sales for this good information that is now coming out. It's just great for us as citizens to be able to read. You know, we did get this many people arrested, and we did find these people, et cetera, et cetera. And I just can't tell you how stellar you were at the workshop that Regina talked about. So thank you. It was a really A++ job. And my last thing is, on this weekend of our heritage, I'm just delighted that there is a program going on at Nature at the Confluence that I, as a grandma, am very proud to take my 16-year-old granddaughter to. It's Nature at the Confluence, and they're going to talk about the women who used to live right here. And, you know, we all know that Therese has just been fabulous in really getting that going. So, again, very proud. Many, many decades ago, I had to plan all of Heritage Days when I had just started at the Convention and Visitors Bureau then. And my goodness, what a change. I certainly did not quite have all the quality goings on that's happening here. So we got to be lucky, and we need to participate. Thanks.
Thank you. Vice President Keys?
Thank you, President Anderson. First, I want to say thank you for the understanding and accommodations, allowing me to participate remotely this evening. Just due to acute illness in my household and my desire to keep others healthy and safe, I chose to participate from home tonight, so thank you for that. Second, I also want to echo and say thank you to our clerk treasurer, Lori Statler. It's been a pleasure working together. You will be missed, and I wish you all the best. As far as my activities, I just want to continue to share that my activities will remain limited, especially indoors, due to the highly transmissible Delta variant of COVID that remains active in the area. And so as far as personal events, on Saturday, August 21st, I participated in the Hackett Neighborhood Cleanup Day, and I want to thank more than 15 people who came out and helped pick up litter around the neighborhood, as well as individuals from Community Action and local churches that helped make the event so successful. And then finally, regarding COVID, the Rock County Department of Public Health continues to assess and issue recommendations on a weekly basis. And at present, they continue to recommend that everyone should wear a mask in an indoor setting to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. This does include vaccinated, unvaccinated individuals, as well as individuals with underlying health conditions. So please, I ask you to continue to follow basic pandemic precautions to help keep yourself, your family, and our community healthy and safe. Thank you. And that ends my report.
Thank you. I'd like to echo just everything everybody has said. We do have a lot of great highlights in this community, and one thing I would like to share is I really want to share my appreciation to staff. I know you all look wide awake right now. I know this is I think Brittany here. I think she might have. Let's see. I think we lost you for a second.
Yes, my apologies.
That's okay. As I was saying, I know this is probably the longest meeting we've had, probably since I've been on here. So, thank you to all of you sticking it out and looking like you're ready to continue for another 2 hours. So, appreciate that. Last thing I'll just say, just to try to wrap it up here, Lori Stotler, we really do appreciate you, and we know you love to be recognized, and you love to have the camera on you, and you love the limelight, but in all seriousness, we're really going to miss you. You've been great. I remember when I was a new council member, being on the alcohol commission and finding out probably way too much about liquor licensing from you. So you do have a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise, and I'm hoping that we can get the next group of clerks here to have half the gusto as you do. So thank you for all that you've done for the city of Beloit. And that ends my report.
Moving on. Is there a city manager's presentation this evening? Okay, so item 12 is reports from boards and city officers. 12A is the city council may adjourn into closed session pursuant to section 19.85 sub 1E Wisconsin Stats to deliberate or negotiate the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or the conducting of special public businesses whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session, namely to discuss the following: the possible sale of 1534 Shore Drive, 1540 Shore Drive, and a portion of 249 Maple Avenue. The council may reconvene in open session to possibly take action on the matters discussed in closed session.
And before we have that motion, I will be recusing myself. I am involved with an organization that might be part of this potential sale, so I will step out of the room, and Vice President Keys will take the motion to go into closed session.
Thank you, President Anderson. Can I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
I so move.
I'll second that, Counselor Keys. This is
Councilor
Regina Duncan.
Horvath with the motion. Is it a second?
Second by Counselor Duncan.
And second by Councilor Duncan. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say, we want Lori to stick around so bad, we're going to make this meeting last as long as possible.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes for closed session.